Going on, everybody? Welcome to a new episode of Talk to Me Wednesday. Listen, it was Tuesday, but we had to move it to Wednesday because you know what? We ready for the week. We in hump day. We getting things started, and I'm super excited about tonight's episode because we're live with the one and only Maureen Carter. Maureen Carter is a absolute just powerhouse. She is an innovator. She is a master brand builder. She has led and designed things with Nike, BET Network, Nickelodeon, LaFace, and Arista Records, and a ton of other things. She was one of the people who gave me my first start when it came into working into the entertainment industry. And she gave me a project as a young kid working with BET Network in New York City. I flew out to New York. I started doing different projects with Maureen, and it was just absolutely dope. And from that, it allowed me to expand my business, expand and show up, as a creator in the creative realm, as an entrepreneur, and getting myself out there. And it became a snowball effect. So I'm super excited about it. We're going to get the show started. Feel free to leave comments in the comment section, or you can anytime join in on the live and just hit the little box or whatever, and we'll bring you in if you want to ask some questions through the conversations that we're having. But I'm super excited. Let me see if we got Maureen here. Maureen, you can either send a request or I can send you a request. We got you here. But welcome to a new episode of Talk to Me Wednesday. I'm super excited about it. This is going to be one about marketing and branding. Oh, we coming with the hats, Maureen? Excited. Let me see.
Wait, I wore this for you.
Listen, you're going to make me get my glasses.
I wore this for you.
You're going to make me get my glasses.
To women. So listen, I have been waiting for the perfect moment to wear this hat.
Listen, I love it. I love it.
Nothing else felt right. I said, "Ooh, that's what I'm wearing tonight for my guy." How you doing?
I am absolutely amazing. Listen, I'm super excited because you are one of the pillars that have made my career what it is.
Aww.
And you took a chance on a young guy off of an Uber ride in Charleston, South Carolina, and you gave me an opportunity that changed my entire life. It became a snowball effect to give me, leadway into the mainstream industry of media, within the mainstream space of working with, different music artists within the secular realm and the mainstream realm. So I tip my hat completely to you, and I'm super excited about this episode because I know people are going to, do really well when it comes into the conversation we're having about marketing and branding,
Right,
and even diversity and inclusion within an ever, changing industry where right now it's so important, with everything that's happening in the industry and the conversations that are being started to constantly keep pushing us into the forward direction of, opening spaces and having rooms so that the rooms that we occupy and the sets that we on can look like the world we exist in,
Wonderful.
So, if you want to introduce yourself, you're more than welcome to. The floor is yours. Drop them, let them know who you are, and we out here.
And I tilt my hat to you. Thank you so much for that intro. I am honored to be here. I am Maureen Carter. I wanted to start with this quote I wrote when I wrote a letter of intent to get into the Yale School of Business for creative leaders. And I wrote, I am a design leader. I am a culturalist. I am a maker. I am relevant.
Yes.
I am a visual storyteller with purpose.
Yes.
I am a mentor and a teacher, and I am proud to be me.
Yes.
So I'd love to start there because happy Ash Wednesday. For those of you that celebrate, we're in Women's History Month. We're on the heels of Black History Month, Black History every day. And, Chris, meeting you was truly a blessing. I don't live in Charleston. I was there for a family emergency. And you just brought a calmness to me without even knowing what was going on in my family, that I had to fly there on an emergency. And there was something about your spirit and energy that just felt so warm and inviting. And when you showed me your work at every stoplight, you were ready.
Yes.
You were ready. That's called showing up, everyone. I really want to talk about how you show up. A lot of people, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that. You never, and you said to me, I knew someday someone would get in my Uber that would give me a chance. And
Yes.
your work was great. So you got to show up, and you also have to have solid work. You had really beautiful work. And it was well done on your, as you were showing me, you had a nice device and you put your best foot forward. And I saw that commitment in
Thank you.
you. And the brand of you was shining through. And guys, it was really great how I said, well, if you can make it to New York, we'll give you a shot. What was it, 2 weeks later?
It was 2 weeks later. I was coming because there was no way I was going to miss an opportunity. And the thing about it, even just showing up in that space of my mindset back then was like, you know, through this process of building your company, building your brand,
Right.
every day you are alive is the opportunity for what you're looking for to find you.
Amen.
And you have to put yourself out there in order for God, the universe, to bring those things to you. And funny enough, it was in my back seat of a Uber. And I think that's important. Sometimes in the space of showing up, we kind of feel just being in our homes or hitting people up, in the comfort of our spaces, our Instagram
Right.
DMs is how you do it. Yes, that's one way, but you got to get out.
You
And
got
whether
You got
that's
to get out, and not only get out, be your authentic
you do.
self and show your commitment to your work and your craft. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself, but what was different is that you showed up 2 weeks later. You didn't just show up; you showed up with cupcakes.
Listen.
I was like, he bought cupcakes. They were the most amazing cupcakes ever. And when you're on the grind every day, you skip lunch. You may not have had breakfast. Those cupcakes
Right.
were like everybody's lunch, breakfast, and dinner that day. And I said, hey, I have 2 creative directors on my team. They're both amazing. I'll let you meet with them. My creative director came out. Shout out to Casey Green. He said, yo, he's good. And it was the Mario shoot.
Yes.
The person came and he said,
Yes.
I think he could shoot Mario. And I said, go for it. And I explained to you when I took you to lunch, I think, and I said, you're gonna have to wear sneakers in New York. We don't wear boots and your feet are gonna hurt. Your feet are gonna hurt. You can't put shoes in your bag. Literally. So this goes to show that, guys, we don't show up knowing everything. There were so many teachers I had along the way who said, Maureen, you can walk the walk, but we need to teach you how to talk. I had teachers in Sunday school, teachers in my community, of course, in my family. I was telling one of my mentees today, when I used to ask a definition of a word, my grandfather would say, look it up, or how to spell it, look it up in the dictionary, right? So you have to show up and you have to listen to the advice that you're given. And when you're focused on who you are intentionally and you are coming from a pure and purposeful place, it's a beautiful thing. And your work spoke for itself. I couldn't be more prouder of you. I still have that picture of us that we took that day that is dear to my heart.
What was that? Bobby Vans.
Bobby Vans. So, and I have a name plaque in that restaurant. So it's a way I'm like, yay, I'm in Times Square.
Period.
Yay, Bobby Vans. But a little bit about my background. I had my first art show when I was 5. Was always nurtured from my family. Went on to study art in HBCU Hampton, HBCU Love. Then went to grad school at Pratt. Knew that I wanted to have a plan to teach. And also to teach while I was working in the industry. And I was right at a time where I started in my passion of hip hop at Vibe magazine. I was their first webmaster of a record label, doing websites, doing branding, doing short form content with Tupac. I then went on to LaFace Records, Usher, Outkast, Goody Mob, Pink, Tony Braxton, then went to Arista Records and had a bigger roster of artists where I was doing social media, webmaster, branding, digital marketing, short form content, styling, set design. So never be too proud to do multiple jobs under a job.
Yes.
So don't worry, the stylist didn't show up today. Oh, I can figure it out. Or, or I have always had a Rolodex. That's old school. Now we say contacts. That photographer didn't show up. Oh, I can have another photographer here in 5 minutes, right? So that reference and doing that gave me more confidence, because then I went into what we call corporate America, right? I went to Comcast, the first version of Hulu I built. I launched Xfinity. Those of you in the Philadelphia area, branding, that was when I was first at a huge organization where you have to learn to manage up, manage across, manage down. You're not like in this niche of an industry. And then from there, I was like, okay, I started networking and enjoying all the programs that these large corporations give you. They have a budget for training, and they have interest groups for every culture, every creed, every interest. And I got to go to conferences. I had mentors. I got on their calendars, sat at their table for 15 minutes and said, how do I get to be a vice president? And I stayed in touch with them and built those relationships, which you and I have done, right? I text you, as busy as you are. If I text you, you text me back within seconds, right? That's the love we share.
Literally.
On the phone, and same here. And then I went on to do a exec MBA because I had all art degrees. And I was like, okay, I want to be a boss. I want to know like how to do HR, operations, budget. So I was sent to this program at UCLA. And then that's how I ended up at Nickelodeon, winning my first Emmy. And then went on to Deloitte Digital Global, where I set up studios in DC, where I served on President Barack Obama's technology and design board. And then got to go to India and see what Mumbai did, oversaw a studio in Shanghai and West Africa. And then my world opened up.
Yes.
And then a friend called, a mentor, my big brother, though he's younger than me, that we met in that UCLA program. He said, I'm going to BET, I need you. I said, I'm on the first thing smoking. And I was there for 9 or 10 years until then I came to Nike, where I am overseeing design, apps, and everything for street culture, and really importance of continuing the culture of Spike Lee, Michael Jordan, and how we stay relevant.
Yes.
And all along, I've had to still be Maureen, like making sure my values aligned. And everyone would tell you, if it didn't align to my values, my personal values,
yes,
didn't align to my professional, I can't do it.
I love that. I want to speak on a little bit about personal values and matching that in the professional values as creators, as entrepreneurs. What's something that through the process of still keeping your authenticity within who you are and even the values of how you navigate this space within corporate America, what were some things that allowed you to stick in your truth and true to you? Because a lot of the times when you get into these spaces, you sometimes feel that you have to bend to fit into a world that they're asking you to be in. It's a reason, and it's a reason you're there.
Right.
So how did you navigate like sticking to the true authenticity and those values of Maureen through the process?
I love that. I have to say it comes from my ancestors and my upbringing and being proud of who I am and having my own creed, right? There's
Absolutely.
some companies that offered me roles in certain industries that I'm not a good fit for.
Mm-hmm.
And it's also being able to be the voice in the room. When you end up in corporate America, I also have to remember I wasn't there just for Maureen.
Absolutely.
I was there for the 20, 25, 30, 40 people that reported to me, right? Still in my walk every day. I have to make sure that I'm advocating for them, right? And sometimes it's a tough room. And, I try to have the meetings before the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Like everyone should be sending an agenda out before the meeting. See who you can then connect with that can be an ally in that room for you, right? Like, oh, we're going to have this meeting on X. Let me get in front of as many people that are going to be in that room so they've heard kind of what it is that we want to do. Because, in our careers, you have to constantly defend our creative solutions.
You do.
Even though we know they're perfect, you have to give them the rationale, the discovery, show your research, give them some science, right? I can give science about design, you give science about photography, and say, no, this is why this is right. But we have to show up in that room every day. And if you're not authentic, it will show.
It will.
This business, if you try to be someone else, it's going to come out later. So you might as well show who you are now and be proud of it. And if it's not a fit, it's sometimes not a fit. And, I've just been true to myself and I've held on to my personal brand value. So I do this exercise with my students when I teach a course at Pratt called The Brand of You. And the B is your blueprint. The R is the relationship you bring to your clients. The A is the agreement. The N is, the nature of your business, of yourself. And the D is the distinguishing characteristic. So once you know those things, one, you have an elevator pitch. When you go in the elevator and someone says, "Who are you?"
Yes.
Instead of "I'm a designer, I'm a photographer," you're like, "I'm Maureen. I'm from a Caribbean background. I love what I do. I'm a musical family. My relationship is I'm going to show up bubbly and energetic every day and give you the best design solutions. The agreement I bring is that I'm going to give you research and data and background and the best team. The nature of who I am and what I provide is that I am going to be true to the business goals at the same time, bringing an emotional connection. And what makes me different is I'm a hip hop girl with a touch of grit and gloss."
Yes.
Boom. I got an elevator pitch. Right now, I could go deeper than that. That might get me the next meeting.
Completely.
So, which it did many times.
Who's going to turn that down?
Who's going to turn that down? And you have to practice it. You have to practice it in the mirror, practice it with your family, and and you have to change it based on who's in the elevator. I always tell my students, pick who's in the elevator with you. I have two people I always pick: Barack and Pharrell. So I have a different version I say to President Barack Obama in my head, and then I have a different version that I say to Pharrell. I can talk a little bit of rainbows and marshmallows in the sky with Pharrell. I'll talk about superpowers.
Right.
But with President Barack, I'm going to talk about strategy and how my design can influence change. Right? But still, it's Maureen.
And that's beautiful. I'm like, I think a lot of the times, even speaking to that of going into a space and showing up in your authenticity, I'm like, especially as a creator, like that's your uniqueness. And I think a lot of the times we try to get into the space of changing our uniqueness to give people what we think they want.
Wow.
And it's not. They like us because it was something about what you seen, what others see within the building of you and the building of me, that it was like, oh yeah, that's that person's thing that we don't have yet, or it's something different that we've seen, but it's something different that I would like to have on board. And if you're trying to conform and contort yourself to fit in something that has already been done, yes, you can get inspiration. We all draw inspiration from something, but your uniqueness and authenticity is what it sells you. It creates who you are, and then through that process, you nurture it, you feed it, you build it even more, and then you find your brand persona, your brand perception. Who do you want to show up as when you go into building your social media following? When it comes to introducing yourself in these rooms to the people who are able to change, the entire trajectory of like where you're going. And I think that's something that a lot of creators get into, of not knowing the identity of who they are, and they struggle with finding the identity and the authenticity of who they are, and it can sometimes be destructive.
Yeah.
So I love that you spoke to that, of staying authentic to who you are, and also changing, how you can still be you, but change the voice and the tone, in the markets and to the person that you're speaking to.
Know the room.
Yes, and know how to read it.
You got to know the room, right? In certain rooms, I may say I'm a blend of classical music and LL Cool J, right? In another room, they may not get that reference, but most rooms get that reference. But other rooms, I could go really deeper on the hip hop side, and I could talk about the Roots, and I could talk about Tribe Called Quest, and I can talk about some of the rap groups that changed, and how, I was the art director on the Outkast shoot for Stankonia with the black and white flag, and I was the art director on the set. But I didn't know I was going to be the only one there, and the hairdresser. We were trying to flip Andre's 3000's hair up in a perfect flip. And Pink shows up that day. We were all just young. I didn't know that shoot was going to be iconic, right? So you never know what you're going to be a part of that can then transcend time. And it's one of the most iconic, like, hip hop album covers. At that moment, I knew it was something special, though. I said, I'm going to stay until we're done. I don't know who was supposed to be here today, but I'm here today, and I'm going to represent our company with the. And of course, I was not the photographer. I was on set, and I gave my opinion, my eye, and knowing the room, and knowing your place, and knowing where you can help, and knowing where you when you're not the expert.
Absolutely.
So that's important too. A lot of people, you have to be comfortable in your core expertise. And then there's prongs attached to that, right?
Yes.
Like your core is photography.
Mm-hmm.
My core is design, right? But you also could be a voiceover artist, right? You also are connected to set design, video,
Yes.
you
Yes.
know, working a live show is
It's
not an easy job.
no.
I mean, people don't realize it looks very glamorous on TV, but we're falling over each
Yep.
other. You're sweating,
Yep.
cords are getting in the way. Somebody gets sick. You got to pull somebody else in.
Yep.
You know, you got front of the house, back of the house. Sometimes is a zoo, and then and then you're dealing with talent, right?
And that's
And
a whole nother feat.
that's a whole nother right. And you want them in their best light,
Yes.
at their best moment, and I'm doing social creative and overseeing this and that. And you have to just be able to pivot and be flexible too. That's
You
what I
do.
didn't talk
You
about.
do. I'm like, I mean, that's a perfect thing of pivoting and being flexible. And I know one thing, a huge component of that is the networking. Like
Huge.
networking is everything. It is the majority of how you continue to grow because your rooms matter. And I think through the process of it, especially in this day and age,
Right.
I feel of social media, of us being kind of in our introverted lives sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
we want to do things, but stepping outside of those places to be able to get into different rooms is like so important because having conversations with people, showing up, being personable, that's how you meet people. That's how you discover and grow your network, but also along the lines of theirs. And it's like, what I've found is, if you want something to happen, you have to be in these rooms, and it only happens through connection and relationship and building the relationship and massaging the relationship. And that's when you start to build, a level of trust,
Yes.
which is very important within the networking and business branding through the process of this huge line of accomplishments that you have achieved through this day and age. What has been one of the most valuable things about networking that you've discovered back then and even now at this stage in your career?
I love that question. And there's a real easy answer. I've never had to really look for a job. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been through someone that created a role for me, was in my network, or when I got to Nickelodeon, the head of recruiting called me because I did that program, right? And she said, 4 people came and gave me your resume. So you
Wow.
need to come in for an interview, right?
Wow.
And and it's building those. There are some people I've been in, I've known for 15, 20 years. You don't even know who you may have gone to school with that may
Yes.
end up saying, oh, this is perfect for Chris or this is perfect for Maureen. But
Yes.
you said such a key word, that nurturing it, and it's the trust. A lot of people think networking is I just link into you.
No.
Like that is not networking.
No.
That is just linking in people through an
And it's
audio file.
introduction, honestly.
It's an introduction. It's really finding those commonalities and making sure you're aligning yourself with individuals in your network that you really do have something in common with, or that they add augment something that you don't have, right?
Absolutely.
And then hey, well, I want to learn from you and you can learn from me. And I gave the example of when I was at Comcast. I was going to their assistant saying, hey, I need 15 minutes on the calendar, please, for this SVP or this VP, because I'm a director and I
Mm-hmm.
want to get the senior director and I want to get the VP, right? And they tell me, Maureen, it won't be long until you're on the other side of the desk and people are coming to you. Oh, that day came a lot faster than I expected, but I'm happy to help. And it's also saying, hey, how you doing? And I'm going to be in town. You live
Yes.
in Dallas. Can we meet for coffee? It's not then calling them when you need a job
That part.
or you want.
And making somebody's your emergency somebody's priority through that. That's
They
definitely gonna
right,
kill.
and then they're gonna see right through it. Or they just say, I'm interested in working at your company. Here's my resume, and here's my profile, without even looking at available jobs at the company. Where
Right.
you could really come with, and one of my best friends is a recruiter. We talk about this all the time. where you really should come with, I saw this job posting
Yes.
and I'd love to become and network
Yes.
with you. We have, well, you're from Trenton, New Jersey, by way of Brooklyn. I'm from Philly, and I used to go. I know both of those places well. And by the way, I saw these positions with the actual link of the positions, because HR recruiters, they could be hiring thousands of roles.
Yes.
You can't just say, I want the photo director job or the art director job. There's so many different
nuances within that.
Nuances within that, different hiring managers, different departments, different countries, different time zones, and really being intentional and then following up.
Absolutely.
So networking is an ongoing process too. You're never done with it. It's like every opportunity you are outside, whether you're at a restaurant, a museum, an art exhibit, which I frequent, or at the gym. It's your way of building connections.
Absolutely.
And you never know. I met someone at church last Sunday, and I'm like, that's interesting. I said, we're gonna be on a panel together, right? So you just never know. Networking is an ongoing thing, and I always say, you were right. Trust, building that trust, and then reinvention, like not being afraid to reinvent yourself. Like some of the biggest stars in the world and actresses and leaders constantly reinvent.
Absolutely.
And you got with the technology. If you've never touched AI, get with AI. If you don't know, if you've never been on TikTok, like
hop on it.
But to some people, they're like, "What do you mean? I grew up since middle school on TikTok." There's some people they're not keeping up and current with the technology.
Nope. And it's ready and available, and it's in the palm of your hand. Especially with ChatGPT being the thing, it can give you whatever you need, down to a role, how to put together a set, how to put together a business, whatever you need. It's almost therapy. You can ask it questions and it gives you therapy.
Exactly. And there's like, but just with all technology and science, it needs the human interaction. So you still got to go in and tweak it. It may say, because I know if I do something on design, it'll say something twice, or twist a fundamental design. We don't say color science in design, we say color theory. So they may spit back color science, right? Or they may the type you're using versus typography, right? It'll say graphics instead of aesthetics. So you still have to go in and make it human and make it yours, because hiring managers can tell something that is straight AI that doesn't have personality in it. Throw in there, I was telling one of my mentees and someone on my team, throw in your LinkedIn that you're a DJ. Like, that's a cool thing.
Yes.
Like they want
something that stands out and separates you.
See something unique. Put in on your IG profile that you're a black belt. That means discipline.
Yes.
That you understand structure. That means you understand hierarchy.
Yes.
So these are things that you look at in a well-rounded individual. We can teach you the programs and the software, but we're looking for that superpower, that distinctive quality, that something special about you, that Zazazu.
Absolutely. Listen, I love it. I'm like, this has been, I hope with everybody who's on live, who's in the comments, number one, we have a Q&A coming up. Either you can tap in, you can leave some comments in the comment section, or you can join the live and you can come speak, ask Maureen some questions. We're not going to be on for long, so this is your moment. This is your time to gather your questions, put them down in the comment section, and we'll be more than happy to give you, any type of kind of commentation off of what you have. But Maureen, this conversation, like, it's so informative, and I think it's something that even just at this point, with me, with whoever who's looking at this is something that is helping so many people. And I think when it comes up to showing up as your authentic self and the power behind that, when it comes up to networking, when it comes up to finding your purpose, when it comes up to simply just showing up, you have to show up. You have to, and you have to be ready. And even through the process of showing up, it's preparation. Like the person the person that you desire to be, that end in mind, that person that you see that has all those qualifications of the person that you want to be. Start having conversations with the person now, and start having that conversation with the person of tomorrow,
I love,
of next week, of next year.
oh,
And you
I
got to find
love
out
that.
how to get the person that you are now to
Gems.
him, but also learning how to actually talk to him at where you are. So I'm super excited. We have a question. Portia, you're more than welcome to join in. Let's see. Do you have any advice for creators, digital products? Currently working on an ebook for creators. Maureen, do you have a digital book?
I do, but it's not public yet.
Okay.
My advice is it before you just ask about a book, like know all of the I've been working on my book before there was digital.
Right.
Right? So you have to, like, who's gonna want to buy it?
Yep.
Who's gonna want to read it?
Yes.
What is the purpose? Do you know your demographic? Do you have a marketing plan? Do you have a publisher? Even though you could self-publish, there may be a publisher you can align with
Yes.
that has authors and books in your genre. Do your research and your homework, right? As a designer, I tell all my friends that are coming out with ebooks or books or self-publishing, you know, an art director and a creative director.
Yes.
Do not the templates on the sub. I'll do it for you. I may do it for free because I love you and I want to see you win. You may
Absolutely.
know a photographer and say, hey, that needs a bigger portfolio. Say, hey,
Mhm.
can you do some headshots for me for my book? So for me, it's about what's the purpose of your book, who's going to want to read your book, have you done your homework in the term, because it's a lot of noise in terms of publishing right now.
Yes.
Because there used to be a time you couldn't do a book without, going to Simon and Schuster, right? You had to have like really big brand, big publisher. But now you really have to make sure you don't want to just do a book. You want to do a book that's successful
Yes.
and fills a void that no one has tapped into yet. So that's my answer to that question.
And then
What you're doing, Chris,
yep.
those tutorials that
Yep.
you're doing, to me, that's chapters of a
Yep.
book. So a book can have different versions of storytelling. It doesn't have to be the traditional
Nope.
model.
And it can always, in that book can always grow as you grow. My
Right.
first book was Light Play, and I just wanted to put out how I photograph fashion, beauty, and commercial. And I didn't shoot a celebrity yet. I didn't have any of that yet, but I knew that my background was fashion, beauty, and commercial. Then the next portion of it, celebrity started to come into play. And then I wanted to show how you actually merge the gap of shooting fashion and shooting, the actual entertainment.
Well,
Because I mean,
I should be on one of your books. We could do a book together. It'll get out. This other book is an art book that I'm doing.
yes.
So I have commissioned artists to do the
Hmm.
illustrations and the artwork that match the ancestral story I'm trying to tell. But we should collaborate on one.
Listen, I'm here for it.
This
But
is the beginning of it.
it's the beginning. And I think even to you, Portia, like even just within that, after all of that is out, the importance of marketing, the importance of branding, selling the product, honing in on it. And I think one thing we have to get into, even in that space, is number one, some people will call it delusion, but I call it being a visionary. And you have to promote your stuff in the same way that these major brands and corporations do.
There
Hit
you
it, let it be in people's faces. And also, don't be afraid to promote your book, because every single day there's going to be someone who is new and discovering the
right.
things that you're placing out. And if it's repeated, cool. If you lose following, or you have a mindset that people are going to stop following you or stop engaging with your content because they're seeing things, that you're promoting and pushing, that's okay. It leads way in open space to people that is of your tribe, and who are going to interact with it, who are going to engage with it, to be found. And I think once you start to do that, massage and nurture, getting that book out to people and allowing people to then tell their audience.
Yes.
Because through the process of what, Clubhouse, I had my photography book. It was me, it was Dallas Logan, and it was, I think, one more photographer who was there, and they were promoting, photography and lighting. and how to expand. And through the process of us talking about the book and promoting it in every room that we went into, and my introduction was, I'm Chris Kavanaugh and I teach photography. I'm an educator within photography and lighting. That allowed people to know what I did. It also then allowed people to want to know the educational portion of it, which I could promote. But digital, go digital. It's great within the revenue stream. It's great within the turnaround, and also it's not high overhead because it's something you put, the first initial thing to. But then after that, it's all about promotion, and promotion is yes, a price to it. But then also the portion after promotion of collaboration is a big portion within, growing the brand and growing the book as well, and just telling your journey and your story throughout it. And I mean, that's been one of the things that has helped tremendously within the portion of digital products, especially within this day and age. It's now, right now, while I'm talking about the book, I can be promoting it and telling people to go to the link in the bio to click it. And now you have call and a call to action, and people go and maneuver, and then they respond off that call to action. So push forward with it. If you need publishing, like she said, look around, do your research. Amazon KDP is a thing. If you don't have, the collaboration that can come from it, if you don't have the source of revenue that can come from it, you can do the digital, you can do the physical paper copies that you can either sell for yourself, or you can get them to actually promote it, and then you get dividends off of it. So
I
just
interject here. When you get to the books, as an adjunct professor, that's another avenue you can go.
yes.
Go to a school that has what you're discussing in their curriculum. So if it's a book on photography, or a book on journalism, or a book on video production, or a book on design, find the people that teach those courses. Like, I'm always looking for new literature for my classes, right? And then it becomes the book that I tell my 100 students you have to buy for this semester, right?
Yes.
So don't give up on the academic lane, especially some, those that are not, on social media with big
Hmm.
things. You could go through academia. They're always looking for budding authors and different perspectives. And so that's another lane too. I love the academic lane.
Yes. And now we have Maurice. What's the best way to approach companies to be their product photographer? So I think this is a great question for you, because I mean that's kind of what me and you did.
Okay, so I'll start with the first part and then you go with the second. The first part is, remember that the person on the inside has a problem that they need to solve, right? As a designer, I'm a problem solver. As a creative director, I'm a problem solver, right? I need a photographer that has this aesthetic, that can shoot this person, place, or thing, right?
Hmm.
We've done Christmas guides, right? To find somebody that knew how to shoot items. And he had these little mini paintbrushes. He's going in and brushing off lip gloss,
It,
you know.
it's funny. Maurice it does a lot of miniature photography.
Really, see,
Yes.
I feel the magic. So there are people that need that. So make sure that is in everything that's attached to your name, because we were like, we need somebody that can shoot these little products for a Christmas guide, and also can shoot like some Fendi skis,
Yep.
right? So, so try to make sure that whatever is in your materials, that you are very clear and specific about once again, your distinctive nature, what you're going to bring. Because as on the inside, I'm looking for something very specific. For me, for you, Chris, at that moment, the problem to solve for me as the head of photography and creative digital for BET, I need people that can shoot black and brown people and make them look beautiful.
Yes.
And without us saying, no, you don't,
Hmm.
no, right? That was, and that's what I saw in your book, right? Not that you couldn't do something else, but so going knowing that individuals that are hiring these have a very specific goal in mind, and then therefore be very clear about what that power is, that superpower that you have.
Yes.
So, Chris, on the other side of this equation, what would you add?
So I would then, like you said, knowing your superpower. When it comes to that, who are you as a photographer? And I think one good form of advice you gave me, you asked me while we were going to Bobby Vans, you were like, so have you kind of went into a route of photography that you like, and it's not about really bubbling yourself into a box, but knowing who you are as a photographer. Because when people ask you, you need to be able to tell them. And my fear was being like, oh, I don't want to hold myself off to jobs. But you were like, no, you are this as a photographer. Hi, I'm Chris Kavanagh, but my level of quality extends within everything that I do.
Exactly.
But also within that, I'll say you need to get a sense of awareness about who you are, telling your story. It is so magical as a creator. We are storytellers to other people's lives, but we have to also know how to turn back and be that to our lives and promote ourselves in making a brand persona, an identity, an authenticity, so that when people know who you are and they see your work, they see the quality, they can identify the level of shooting that you do, they see the uniqueness, they see your thumbprint that is attached to your work. Because there's a lot of people who shoot photography, it is a lot of people who shoot product. But when it
Mm-hmm.
comes down to it, we know those unique things that, as in a fashion aesthetic, we know what a Stephen Klein photo looks like. We know what a Merton Marcus photo looks like. We know what a Peter Lindbergh photo looks like because of their uniqueness, their authenticity, and then also the storytelling, the way one, captures the eyes and the emotion, and the eyes that are the main thing of their photos. But then another photographer, the lighting, the crispness of it, the contrast of it, the way you feel the image. So identify who you are as a photographer. You find your uniqueness within it. You find a brand persona of who you are, and then you turn this thing on.
Turn
You turn this
it on.
thing on, and you start telling people about who you are, what you have to offer, and the purpose behind it. Even just as a photographer, for me right now, I love shooting photography, but I am a great educator, and I love to speak to people, and I love to give people wisdom advice about how I became and started doing the
And
things
you
that
can
I do.
do all of those things well.
You can. Thank you. And I think the thing about it is you have to break out of the number one, the inner saboteur that tells you that you're not doing it, or you start to pay attention to the numbers, you start to pay attention to the engagement. I think that's the thing. And then after that, you break into just showing up. You do this live and it gets 15, 20, 30 people, 100 people who see it. And then you go back and you may, the next week that you do it, you get 105. It's five new people who are introduced to what you do, but that builds over time.
Yeah.
And as you keep showing up and you present yourself with the branding, the marketing, knowing who you are within it, you having your portfolio together, the detailing, the way you present it to these companies,
Yes.
present it in the way, number one, that's in line of what in the quality and aesthetics of the things that they're already at,
So
because we're not going to come down to
do
meet
your
you.
research, right? Do your research in advance. And like I still show my
Yep,
portfolio to panels in different rooms, and I have a basic deck, right? And
yep,
presentation. I'm like, oh, this one I'm gonna pull out, this one I'm gonna pull in. I'm speaking to Black women. Let me use all of my work around Black women. I'm speaking to a corporate audience that's more diverse. Let me bring in some of more of my corporate clients, right? So, those are the things that you can do.
absolutely. Let me see.
Yeah,
We have one more. We got Kai right here, and he's asking, how do you get out of the stage of stagnation? Ooh,
that's fine. I named my goddaughter's middle name is Kai. Um, wow, maybe it's time for something new.
yes,
You know, never there's a lot of lanes open, and I posted Ty. I know you love also Tyler Mitchell's work.
yes.
I was blown away that the first Black photographer wasn't until 2018 for
Oh,
the cover of Vogue.
oh,
It made me realize how much opportunity there's just out there in the world,
yes,
right? Like if you're feeling stagnant in what you're doing, do some soul searching, do that brand exercise, think about what brings you joy, think about the things you would do for free.
yep.
Like I can design all day and I still come home and I want to design, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still love to teach. I teach, I would teach for free. Like what are the things that fuel your soul? So you might need to do some self-discovery and ask the people that know you best. And they'll remember things like, well, you told me a couple of years ago you wanted to be a makeup artist. You rather be on that side of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I did tell you that. right? So it might be some time to pivot and try something new, take a new
Yep.
class, take a cooking class, like take something different. Take a sign language class. I tell a lot of people, take an improv class, like something that's going to free your brain and mind and body, spirit, and soul to see what's next for you. And you never know where the magic then will follow.
Absolutely. And my little 2 cents to this, big 2 cents, is also change your environment, change the people that you're around. Because if you're feeling stagnant, that means you're not around people who are moving with a level of purpose and a sense of purpose in a way that keeps moving, who's always inventing, reinvention. Because when you're around people who are in a place of constantly reinventing, who are moving with a sense of purpose and direction of where they want to go, it's hard to get stagnant because we got things going and moving. And when you're in that group, you automatically start to, that rubs off on you.
Love it.
Because even through the process, you have a little sense of, hold up, I gotta keep up, I gotta do these things to, stay moving with me, but I'm gonna get left behind. So change your environment. Go in, when it comes to sometimes, especially as photographers and creators, if you're starting to feel, stagnant within where what you're shooting, the environments you are, start getting around people who have things flowing, getting on different sets. I think sometimes
Yes.
even as photographers as well, simply because we shoot fashion photography or we shoot product photography or anything like that, go and hit somebody up who shoots concerts, go
Or
shoot
land
weddings,
or landscapes in nature.
landscapes in nature. And through those processes you find nuances and detailings of education and inspiration that you can always circle back to what you have a passion for and what you initially like to do. But now I'm hearing it and seeing this perspective from a different viewpoint that gives me the ability to move different. Because sometimes, when you're trying to move forward and when you're stagnant in something, you can be doing the same thing because it's something that you, number one, have grown to not be inspired
Right.
by, and you're still trying to beat a dead horse, but finding a way to get new inspiration to move this thing forward. So work on changing the environments, get around people who have motion, get around people who ain't stagnant.
And
Because if a bunch of
best,
stagnant people is in one room,
exactly. Best of
they,
luck to you, Kai, for real.
yes. But I'm super excited. Thank you so much, Maureen, for joining on this live of Talk to Me Wednesday. Thank y'all for coming on to a new episode of Talk to Me Wednesday. We had Talk to Me Tuesday, but you know what? I was like, we want to put it on the hump day. And it's a great way to, number one, get through the beginning portion of the week, but give you some inspiration that gets you through the week. So thank you for tuning in to Talk to Me Wednesday. Thank you guys for the questions. Be sure to tune in to next week's Talk to Me episode every single Wednesday at 7 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Instagram. But if you want to catch this live, look at it. Go to the page, click on it. We're going to go to Maureen's page, give Maureen a follow, give Maureen a like.
Thank
And thank you, Maureen, for coming on to Talk to Me Wednesday. It
you.
was a
Anytime.
pleasure.
Have me
And
back whenever you want.
listen, always. And we got to get that book flowing and going.
Sounds good.
We out, y'all. See you next week.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye.